artist is inspiration, vision, passion, curiosity, tradition, and the master artists who came before. Since 2002, the Rolex Mentor and Protégé Arts Initiative has paired promising young talents with established masters in the fields of dance, film, literature, music, theatre, visual arts, and architecture. For a year of guidance, insight, and one-on-one mentoring. Helping ensure the world's artistic heritage is passed on from culture to culture and from one generation to the next. At Rolex, we're proud to carry on the centuries-old heritage of mentoring because we believe behind every great artist is a great artist.
Señoras y señores, por favor denle la bienvenida a la cineasta y ex-mentora Mira Nair. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome award-winning filmmaker and former mentor Mira Nair.
Good evening, buenas noches, salam, namaskar, and welcome to the celebration of the 2015 Rolex Mentor and Protégé Arts Initiative. Thank you, Tambuco, for that wonderful musical introduction. You are a national treasure in Mexico, and we are pleased to join you and the many extraordinary Mexican artists present tonight for this unique celebration of the arts. This is the first time that the Rolex Arts Initiative has come to Latin America, and what a pleasure it is to be in Mexico City, this great world capital of culture, for this event. I find the confluence of Mexico and India, my own country, everywhere, on the streets, in the textiles, in the culture, in the museums. Well, our museums are not as fine as yours, but I am always reminded of the great words of the great Octavio Paz, writer and fantastic poet from this country, who first wrote of this confluence. I'm extremely pleased to help celebrate the extraordinary Rolex mentoring program. I was the first mentor in film in 2004, and my protégé was a wonderful filmmaker from Thailand named Aditya Asarat, who has now gone on to make several feature films. Why is this program so valuable and so rare? I come from an ancient Guru-Shishya tradition, that means teacher and disciple, and this is the essence of this remarkable program. It took me years before I had the courage to call myself an artist, and I thought, what did my gurus really teach me along this way? They taught me that to be an artist, you first must be a student of life. You must have something to say. I had to prepare to be lonely and to cultivate stamina, and to beware the fruits of action, to not regard anything you do as a stepping stone to something else, but to do it fully and completely, and then in its fullness will it reveal the rightness of things. This arts initiative invites some of the world's greatest artists to mentor younger, emerging artists for 1 year. It is based on the conviction that throughout history, the arts have been kept alive through the age-old tradition of Guru Shishya, the tradition of mentorship. As you will see, some of the greatest artists of our day have agreed to share their knowledge and experience, and young artists have benefited in unexpected ways. This video will explain a bit more.
Artists used to learn their craft by working together with someone who knew how to do it. Rolex is making it possible to work in this way again, and it is quite unbelievable.
Just the way that the project is conceived, I think, is pretty brilliant. The idea that we'll give you this person that you can develop a friendship with and learn from and be in one another's lives, it's an incredible gift.
Creo que es una muy buena iniciativa. Ayuda a una serie de artistas en diferentes disciplinas a pasar un año dedicados a su trabajo, aprovechando la experiencia de artistas que tienen ya toda una trayectoria.
It's great that Rolex has decided to do this and has kept this tradition for already 12 years.
We can always be open to a new and better idea. This meeting with him is important because it's always important to meet other people, new people, people who are coming after you.
When you get to take part in projects like these, you have to revise certain views you have about your existence as an artist.
Um corpo preservado, musically and artistically, it gives me different references from the ones that I had before.
I think that what my role is to show him different things that maybe he already knows or wants to hear but hasn't brought out to the forefront.
What a great moment to have a series of things enter her life that she could not previously have imagined. For me, it was a real reciprocity. In some way, for this year, we're sharing our lives.
No creo que el interés del Rolex Mentor and Protégé Program sea transformar lo que venías haciendo, sino repensarlo y quizás transformarlo de una buena manera.
If there's someone you admire and they are willing to pass on some of the things that they've learned, you can't put a price on that. That's the most beautiful thing I can think of.
What they're giving is time, which is actually the best thing you can give any artist.
If it works, you could be generating new artistic visions for the future generations. This is something that we need. It's something that spiritually we can't do without.
Com certeza essa experiência tem transformado minha vida e com certeza para sempre.
Mentoring has traditionally been part of the arts, and it's only recently that it has not been. What Rolex is doing is really reinstalling something that I think is an essential part of the arts.
There should be more programs like this.
Many of my fellow past mentors are here with us this evening, and I would ask them please to stand so we can salute your work and your generosity and your wisdom. What makes me even happier, and one of the most remarkable parts of this journey, is how Rolex continues to expand this creative community by generously inviting past protégés to celebrate the newest ones. Many are here with us, and please do stand so we can salute you as well. It is now time to meet the mentors and the protégés of this year's Arts Initiative. May you get the same bolt of inspiration I did.
Light is the substance of our existence somehow. It's the mystery of the universe, and I just adore working with it.
La luz afecta a nuestro estado de ánimo, nuestra forma de percibir el tiempo, nuestra forma de percibir el espacio. Es una cosa que todos percibimos, pero que muy pocas veces somos conscientes de su existencia.
It's a break stage, you know? I chose Sebastian because he has a wonderful eye. And he's very perceptive about what he's seeing on stage.
De pronto siento que es como una especie de acto de magia. Las decisiones que ella toma creativas, en conjunto con las decisiones técnicas, a mí se me hace sorprendente.
And it's very difficult to balance the good side light from the rooms. Every time I do a production, I spend 3 days working with the set on the drafting board, finding a way to make the dancers look beautiful. I really prefer for it to be subtle, subliminal. I don't feel that it's necessary for the light to be noticed. Now, of course, there are some occasions when it should be, and also that's fun to do. I'm going to Mexico to see his work and to see what he does. It's a bit overwhelming to me, and so I'm interested to see what scale it can be done.
Es el experimento más complejo que hemos hecho. Como de una narrativa no lineal, incomprensible.
Trabajo y todo. As a lighting designer, when you fail, you have the whole world watching you, and that's very difficult. I keep my confidence because of the successes that I've had. As a beginner, I think it's much more fragile.
Es una especie de relación como de amor, no un amor romántico, sino más bien esta cuestión como de admiración entre el alumno y el maestro que va hacia los dos lados.
I know his spirit is there, his eye is there. With knowledge, he can go wonderful places, I'm sure. I am thrilled to be here. Thank you very much. What a lovely time with Sebastian. I was truly delighted that he wanted to be with me for most of my productions during the year. And for him, it meant becoming a world traveler, as there were productions in Britain, in France, in Spain, as well as Houston, and of course, New York. There were productions of theater, opera, and dance, as well as music concerts that he observed in his time with me. And for me, it meant a couple of trips to Mexico City to see his work and some of the exciting treasures that are here in this wonderful city. I chose Sebastian because I felt he was an artist. I am not much of a talker, but I hoped that by his observing so much of my work, he could learn about the way I see space and time. And then by asking questions, he could learn about the paperwork necessary to develop the process and to ultimately record the results to be used the next time the production was done. I know that I have learned from Sebastian about loyalty, commitment, and collaboration. His work with his collective, Luce Fuerza, is dear to his heart, and it may take precedent above all else. He has worked with this group for a very long time. Some of them have taken a major role in the execution of his project here for all of you to see, as he has helped each of them in their own projects, as well as mounting a major group work together that I saw here last year. I have seen Sebastian grow in confidence and accomplishment over the time we have spent together. He has certainly grown as a lighting designer. What I felt in the beginning is a fact. His eye is true, his sensibility is genuine. It may be that he chooses to be a light artist rather than a lighting designer, but his work will always be carefully constructed and well thought out. I am so happy to have spent time with Sebastian. I miss him. I will always remember our year together, watching him grow into the person he is today. Thank you to Rolex for giving me Sebastian, and thank you, Sebastian, for spending so much time with me. Please meet Sebastian Solorzano.
Buenas noches. Good night, everybody. Mi corazón está lleno de gratitud. Gratitud que fluye en primer lugar y directamente hacia Jennifer. Thank you for the warm light of your generosity and the deep learning by which you guided me. Thank you. Gracias a la iniciativa Rolex, artística Rolex para mentores y discípulos, ejemplo de verdadera filantropía y compromiso con la autodeterminación del quehacer artístico y con la transmisión del conocimiento. Gracias a todos los que me brindaron su confianza y apoyo. Especialmente quiero agradecer a mis padres, maestros y amigos, mis colaboradores en el arte y compañeros de la vida. Sus invaluables enseñanzas me hicieron llegar hasta aquí. Ustedes saben quiénes son. También quiero agradecer al Centro Cultural del Bosque por abrir sus puertas tan generosamente. Creo en la responsabilidad del artista para iluminar los huecos más oscuros de nuestra sociedad. A través de nuestras acciones y creaciones podemos traer paz a donde ha habido violencia. Podemos dar testimonio de la generosidad frente al saqueo. Podemos traer humanidad a lo previamente inhumano. Veo el arte como una luz capaz de iluminar este ensombrecido mundo. Dejemos que esta luz se expanda para reconciliarnos con la belleza, la virtud y la compasión. El mundo es un gran teatro. Nadie puede hacer teatro solo. Es necesario hacerlo en comunidad. Gracias.
Ser humano, siento una responsabilidad de transformar nuestra realidad. Mi herramienta, que es una herramienta mágica, es la arquitectura. Desde el comienzo sabíamos que al ver el contraste de realidades de lo que es la Twitzera y de lo que es Asunción, te abre la cabeza de una forma radical.
Architecture is made from real things, materials. As a painter uses paint, a composer uses sound, I use materials. Designing is a special way of thinking. There's a task, there's a place, look for the right scale, the right dimensions. It's simple and highly complicated at the same time. We have been working on our tea temple. It has turned out to be an exciting thing, and then I thought I could do this with Gloria, then she would get the whole process. Architects of that age tend to be maybe more theoreticians, or they're part of a big team. With Gloria, I had a hands-on kind of feeling for what she had done, and I liked a lot of little groups.
Antes de venir, muchísima gente venía y me contaba historias y me decían que él es súper serio, que es muy estricto. Y a medida que vamos trabajando cada vez más, yo veo que es una persona súper sensible. El venir acá y participar con un mentor es algo que no tenía pensado hacer, pero que es súper enriquecedor para mí. El poder ver otra forma de trabajar con los materiales, otra forma de construir, otra forma de llevar el proyecto. Lo que hace la arquitectura de Peter es lo más lindo.
She's done things of her own work, which I really am. So I'm also looking forward to go and see this now in real life. Paraguay sounds good to me. The owners started to get to know each other, and I guess that's the life of an architect. You know, there's a long-term kind of things. Both of us, we learned together, so this is only a start, and it would be a long way to go. Thank you that I can be here. It was actually a really beautiful time to work for Rolex. I have to say I'm always a little bit critical if it's about advertising and promotion and so on. But after these years I can say, pretty good idea. And you know what I find really good? That you included architecture. Because this is only included, I understand, for the last 2 years. And as you can imagine easily, I adore architects who take the profession as also a cultural or artistic part, and not only a business kind of thing. Okay. So thank you, Rolex. And as I personally think cultural work might be small, might not be so important financially, not be in big letters in the newspaper, but I think it's incredibly important. When we all do our things well, I think this has something to do with deep human dignity of doing things. Okay. So, having architecture part of the program, I think that's ideal, because architects already work. I already work in a sort of a master class situation. It's a workshop. I need a lot of people. We architects need people, so it's ideal to receive a guest and start to work together. So, architecture is about teamwork, I'm writing here. Okay, I'm the boss. It's about teamwork. So we come, it's ideal. So we come together, so there's an exchange of talent and experience. And talent, as we know, has nothing to do with age, so the only thing for is experience in addition. Okay? And that would happen. Young people come into this workshop, into this masterclass kind of thing. I'm having this family of young adult people, and we exchange experience. So I'm interested in a new voice, a strong new voice, like Gloria comes as a strong new voice. And I think she was a little bit interested to get to know a specific way of working, like what we do at home. Okay, what else did I want to tell you? Nothing. Nothing else. Okay, so there's a rhetorical question, would I do this again? So I say, yeah. If you send somebody like Gloria, I would do this again. So please, Gloria, where are you? Come to the stage.
noches. Proteger en menos de 200 palabras. En latín, protegere. Pro, en pos de, en favor de. Tegere, cubrir. Cubrir para cuidar. Defender, amparar. En guaraní, mi lengua nativa, ma'e, mirar, atender. Cuidar, reconocer, contemplar, considerar, examinar lo material e inmaterial. Otra forma de decir proteger, ñangareko, ñuva. En suizo, schütze, proteger. En alemán hay muchas palabras para decir proteger, pero me gusta bemuttern. Porque viene del verbo to be, ser, y muttern, con que se le nombra a la madre. ¿Cómo me siento como protegida? Protegida. Recibí un beso de la vida, un gran regalo. ¿Cómo fue la experiencia? La experiencia no fue nada, sigue siendo, es y será. ¿A qué se parece? Se parece a un gran llavero, y también a las manos y a las puertas por abrir, y a un vestido de puertas y a un escenario lleno de puertas, y a una cartera repleta de puertas y techos para cubrir y recubrir y proteger, reinventando el mundo, el nuestro, el lugar donde todos estemos mejor, entre todos. En junio, en Haldenstein, en mi último día en el increíble estudio de Sumter, brindamos, y fue otra vez for a new beginning. Gracias, mentor.
Not so much to influence, but to give permission. What I wanted to do with Miro was to let him recognize that he can do anything with the first chapter. We all want mentors. I still want a mentor. So I hope that's what Miro is getting.
I think for a young writer it's very important because there's so much in life that technically makes it difficult for you to persevere as a writer.
I thought it was very descriptive,
So any help can be tremendous. For someone to give you a hand and say, take this hand and follow me.
Also the whole idea about someone writing about one country but living in another country, I could see an affinity and we could talk about that. I think it's very important for me to understand where he comes from and his interest in the culture of Bulgaria.
Grandma died of breast cancer in 1989, only a month after communism was abolished in Bulgaria. I was 8, and I remember it very clearly. There is no priest at a communist funeral. Grandpa read from a book, volume 12 of Lenin's collected works.
I love listening to or watching craft happen. And that's one of the great pleasures of, working with another writer like Miro.
Since the beginning of time, there's only darkness around us. So what do? We light a fire, and then suddenly things are revealed. And that's where storytelling comes into place.
For me, the act of writing a novel is discovery more than putting down what you already know. Our lives are utterly disordered. The pleasure of having an ordered tale is a wonderful thing. I can recognize aspects of myself, aspects of things I've been through.
The comments that he gave me in the opening chapters of the manuscript, how to open it up in different directions, how to be more suggestive as opposed to over-descriptive, were really, really useful in that I could apply them to the 100 pages, but also to the other 300 after that.
When he writes in Bulgarian, it's a very different voice and much more excessive than when he writes in English, which is a much stricter, sparser style. I think he was at a stage where I thought I could be useful to him. He was moving from the short story to the novel, so I thought I could have been helpful in that way.
To be given this opportunity, to be given someone who stands so tall in a field of giants, it's incredible. Who wouldn't benefit from advice from Michael Ondaatje?
Artistic influences collide with us from all over the world. It has always been so. I don't claim to know English, says Proust, but I claim to know Ruskin. So having a Sri Lankan-born Canadian work with a young Bulgarian from Sofia who now writes in English seems part of a valid tradition. In this small and dangerous contemporary world, it's important, especially, to be conscious of and learn from other cultures. I'm a writer, as I said, who much prefers to have a mentor. I search out writers and artists I can learn from. But mentoring is a two-way street. We learn from the young as well as the old. And working with Miroslav Penkov, the distinction between protege and mentor often did not exist. There was, instead, the transference of energies and ideas. We shared the secrets of the rehearsal. I'm not sure what Miro got out of it. We watched a good part of the World Cup together. He introduced me to Bulgarian monasteries and their remarkable murals, which have become my passion. I now know more about the territories around the Black Sea. We talked of the speed of thought as it appears in writing, the pacing in a book, the voice of narrators, as well as how many narrators. We discussed novels of war, poetry, muralists, collagists, tennis players, how not to take the journalistic judgments too seriously, how sometimes a book knows more than a writer, and that line by Baldwin, I think, in North America, they don't want you to have a career, they want you to have a success. We met in Toronto, in Sofia, in Texas, in New York. We discovered it was important to disagree with each other. Sometimes you jump the fence line, sometimes you don't. I hope Miro realizes that no matter what age he is, the desire for mentors will never cease. They arrive at any stage in one's life. And now I can say, I don't claim to know Bulgarian, but I claim to know Miroslav Penkov. I'm pleased to introduce him to you. Miro.
Buenas noches, México. Art is the light which pushes away the darkness. But even if we find ourselves alone, staring into an empty void, we must not despair. Instead, we must give face to the faceless, a voice to that which otherwise would stay forever mute. Art is our human triumph over chaos. I stand before you here tonight humbled and deeply grateful. My sincere gratitude to Rolex for welcoming me this kindly into a fellowship of minds selflessly devoted to seeking truth and beauty. In the year of mentoring, my mind was elevated. I read books I may have otherwise missed, saw films that would have remained hidden, began to take interest in forms for which I previously had no eyes. Cinema, architecture, mosaics, all this under the tutelage of my mentor, Michael Ondaatje, a writer whose work I have adored for years, a writer who graciously allowed me into his life, a writer who is now my friend. Ars longa, Vita brevis. Life is short, the craft so long to learn. Thank you, Michael, for teaching me. Thank you, Rolex, for recognizing and supporting not only me, but also the Balkan traditions from which my work springs. Thank you. Благодаря.
Señoras y señores, por favor denle la bienvenida a la directora de filantropía de Rolex, Rebecca Ervin. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the director of Rolex Philanthropy, Rebecca Ervin.
Buenas noches, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, your excellencies. I'm pleased to welcome you all. As you listen to these inspiring stories of mentorship, you may be asking, why did Rolex create such a program? Rolex created the Mentor and Protégé Arts Initiative more than a decade ago to help ensure that the world's artistic heritage is passed on to future generations and to help promote excellence in the arts. Rolex stands for quality, excellence, and craftsmanship. And through this initiative, we hope to transmit these values and demonstrate our commitment to the arts, a commitment we will maintain in the future. The reason for this is simple. We believe the arts make us uniquely human. They are the very foundation of civilization. That is why Mexico is such a perfect setting for this celebration. With your rich cultural heritage and flourishing arts scene, Mexico, you have been the source of inspiration to artists for centuries. The mentors and protégés we honor here this evening join a community of artists that span the globe. Since its launch in 2002, the Rolex Arts Initiative has transformed the lives of 43 exceptional artists at a critical point in their careers by bringing them into extended personal contact with 43 of the world's greatest creative leaders. We at Rolex have been supported in this endeavor by more than 100 artistic advisors and 200 expert nominators who are also here this evening, and we'd like very much to thank them. We have been surprised and delighted at how the program has developed over the years. It has turned into a rich dialogue of an exchange among artists from many different disciplines on all continents, a dialogue that transcends barriers of age and nationality. It has touched the lives and hearts of many creative individuals. It is, we believe, this personal transmission from mentor to protégé that will make a lasting contribution to the arts over time. And at Rolex, I guess we do know something about time. We know particularly how precious and how valuable it is. So I'd like to thank all of you, our distinguished guests, for taking the time to be with us tonight to witness these important moments. We give special thanks to those of you who contributed so graciously your time to the Rolex program, our advisors and nominators. To the protégés, thank you for taking the time to make the best of this year of rich experiences. And finally, I'd like to salute the mentors. Through your generous gift of time, you have made these unique relationships possible. So enjoy the presentation and the rest of the evening.
When you do a port de bras, can you follow your hand? Don't open up, keep it bent. Evie, do you mind doing your entrance?
It's an integral part of a human being to dance, a basic impulse. When people are happy, a little drunk, they do dancing. But of course, through the centuries, dancers learn to express many different things and more sophisticated things. Dance is a combination of athleticism, beautiful trained bodies, a technique, but of course, like trying to tell a story.
Yes, that's it.
Classical ballet is a centuries-old system, so it can tell us something that the words can't.
Sharper and sharper.
You don't know how it manages, but it tells you something important about life.
Thanks. I have a few corrections.
ballet is my language. That's what I'm well versed in, that's what I know. You're always trying to carve your own aesthetics and values in the art form, and that's kind of where I ended up, is playing with this classical language but in a new way that might be more expressive or expressive in a different way than we have looked at yet. Alexei Romansky, such a great sense of classical technique and ballet history, but I feel like he's in it to further the art form. I think he's kind of starting to revolutionize the way stories are told. He's one of the most contemporary choreographers out there right now.
Wait behind.
I think he's really unafraid to communicate what he wants, which is so admirable because it's so easy to question yourself and say, oh, maybe this isn't right. And I think he's very demanding and very clear and direct, but at the same time very respectful.
I'm a former dancer, and I remember the effect that pushy people who were screaming had on me. But if you find this mutual respect to the things you do, these dancers are adults, they're not kids. It's very much a collaboration. I think what I've seen of Miles when he rehearses is more or less the same way. Maybe he's a little bit more strict and he's a brilliant eye. It's a very good thing to have him on the side. It's an exchange of opinions. He's honest, I trust him, and I think it's mutual.
To be immersed in somebody else's creative process forces me to process some of my own stuff because I'm not actively busy all of the time. That self-reflection and being immersed in Alexei's perspective has been really inspiring for me. I'm just itching to get in a studio.
Presented with 3 excellent finalists from which to choose, so my decision on Miles was based on feel and temperament. For both of us, music is the foremost source of our inspiration. It drives our work. Also, Miles is a classical choreographer, and his love for the ponchu is one we share. When we had our initial conversation in Paris, Miles expressed a desire to better know the classical 19th century ballet repertoire. Having come from the Bolshoi, I know the language and notation of these older dances by heart. I was happy to share this knowledge with Miles. And as a company member of San Francisco Ballet and an excellent dancer in his own right, Miles has far more experience in and knowledge of contemporary avant-garde ballet that I did at his age. So I realized that was a chance for me to learn from him. This relationship was absolutely an exchange. A few years ago, there was a beautiful book, A History of Ballet, upon Los Angeles, but at the end it claims that the ballet is dying, that present-day choreographers are unimaginative imitators of past masters. Some people agreed, but I believe we are coming into a real renaissance of ballet. In fact, an exciting period of growth in new interpretation is upon us. I don't know that any great choreographer working today was or could be taught by another choreographer. It is a self-taught art learned only by doing. But in my year with Miles, we each benefited tremendously from the time together Rolex generously provided us. Please welcome my new friend and perhaps one of the future masters, Miles Stetcher.
As I embarked on this year with Alexei, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. We'd worked together previously in the studio, but I hadn't yet had the chance to get to know him as a person. Straight away, I felt incredibly lucky to learn he's one of the most genuine, grounded, and honest people I've met in the field. He helped me endlessly throughout our year together.
I've been able to keep a close eye on how new work in the studio, as well as how he goes about reconstructing classics from centuries past. Also, during our time together, I had my first 3 commissions from professional ballet companies. These new experiences weren't always easy. In fact, there were plenty of terrifying moments, but Alexi was always there to give me a fresh perspective and a challenging voice. He pushed me to keep working to uncover the truth of what I wanted to communicate with my work. This is a lesson I'll continue to strive for throughout my whole career. Since concluding the program, many people have asked me what I have gained after all of our time together. It was filled with new experiences that led me to new knowledge about this craft, and in fact, I'm still reflecting on all that I have learned throughout the year. But most important of all, I've gained a new friend who I can connect with in life and in dance. So thank you, Lexi, and thank you, Rolex.
Is maybe as much about shaping the world as the work of art is a part of the world shaping it. When you're an artist, you're sort of occupied with bringing an idea into action. So it's like connecting thinking and doing. Once an idea is being executed, you're suddenly in some kind of relationship with not just the world, but also the times in which we live.
Ce qui était intéressant, c'est en faisant de recherche sur la personne ou sur le travail de Olafour, il y a la partie expérimentale qui mixe plusieurs disciplines en soi dans son travail. De la photo. Il était intéressant pour moi de commencer un peu à penser sur comment je pouvais exprimer sous un autre ton.
One of the great challenges is, of course, the reorganization of language, of history, the interpretation of history. He is working with a material which is very much about the future.
L'échange m'a beaucoup aidé, et c'est comme ça que j'en arrive aussi à la question d'utiliser un autre support que le cuivre. Je trouvais très intéressant de travailler sur le cuivre, le mixer avec les scarifications, dans ce sens que apposer les scarifications dessus devient un acte de revendication. Ça devient un acte d'identifier et de reconnaissance.
With Sammy, the creativity lays, of course, in the way he works and who he is, but also in the consequences that it has on the world. One has to also see the greater context in which he works, and I grew up in a world where the whole idea of East-West became a clear concept for me. Sammy's work is so inspiring that he was sort of on the forefront of giving the South-North complexity on this planet a language. So this means that the potential, I think, of making art today, and Sammy is a great example of that, lays in our ability to see ourselves as interdependent with the world.
Mon travail tient compte de beaucoup d'éléments en soi. À la fois, il y a des questions culturelles, mais il y a des questions purement anthropologiques, ethnographiques. Ces échanges m'ont poussé à partir plutôt sur des propositions plus complexes. Et donc pour moi, c'est très enrichissant. Ça m'ouvre des portes, des possibilités qui sont à explorer.
One of the reasons why I chose Sammy was, with not so much, had actually achieved a lot. I feel that his vibrant voice really has a very relevant message.
I had the great fortune of spending the last year as a Rolex mentor together with Sammy Bellocci. The great virtue of the Rolex program is that it nurtures culture as a living force. We often make the mistake to think of culture as an object, something over there, something solidified. But of course, culture is in fact a way of life. It's how we identify with each other, it's how we are shaped by the times in which we live, and it's how we are built on the shared cultural history that we have. Our very identities are formed from many layers of shared cultural history. And culture is of course also important in how we co-produce in what we often call our values, right? Our values in life. I believe that art can help to exactly translate our values into action. The values being the ones that we think about, right? I talk about my values, but actually turning them into life, turning them into being, might often be very difficult. Concerned as it is with turning thinking into doing, art can help us not only formulate our values, but also embody them, to give our values a shape, a language. Sami Balochi's art and his practice deals with the exposure of social constructs. He addresses the fact that the construction of identity is often imposed. It's made at people's expense by excluding elements, ignoring complexity, and silencing what we may not wish to hear. Sami uses the history of colonialism in his work to address the fact that our images of ourselves rely often on assumptions that needs to be re-evaluated to a far greater extent that we generally acknowledge. There's a political dimension to his work, of course, but he combines the political subjects with a confidence or trust in abstraction, avoiding didacticism to unlock the artwork's relevance to the contemporary work, to the contemporary world. By linking past and present and exposing the often hidden hierarchical structures of the past, he allows us to re-evaluate the present and be a part of creating the future. It was an honor for me to be, and it was a great pleasure for me to work for Rolex, to be a part of the program, and to be able to spend so much time with Sami in my studio, on our journeys around the world, on the exhibitions. I want to thank Sami for the productive time we spent together, and also I want to thank the Rolex people for, in their commitment to culture, exercise a trust into the future also, which I believe is very much needed today. Thank you very much, and Sami, come up here.
2015 has been a year rich in exchanges, experiences, and relationships. The Rolex program gave me the opportunity to get to know more my mentor, who followed my work closely. We have had intense conversation, and he gave me wise advice, despite having many commitments of his own. I was starting to discover to what extent Olafur was willing to share, both professionally and personally, his vision of the world as an artist. For all these things, I wish to thank you, Olafur. Thank you so much, Olafur. Today, I couldn't say how many projects that came my way this year are linked to the mentorship, but it certainly provided me an additional sense of professional affirmation and security. With the support of Rolex, I was able to produce the installation in copper at the Venice Biennale. This was an important opportunity for me to create work that reflected my exchanges with Olafur. I was searching for new ways to express myself artistically. There, I created a work that was not linked solely to photography and video as in the past, but to the visual art in the larger sense of the term. I finished several projects during this past year. This mentorship provided opportunities and connection within a broad spectrum of art and within the global artist community. Doors have been opened and tools have been given to me. It is now up to me to explore them. Thank you.
That was my world, imagining textures and different kind of surfaces and some kind of degrees of light. It's not something that I try to do. It's there when I close my eyes. I loved that space when I was a child, and it was so strong that often I think I prefer to stay there rather than reach to other people. You go down, yeah, and that makes a low noise.
Composing is a really solitary occupation, and personally I struggle very much with that. It's usually not sounds that I hear, it's a musical idea, it's sort of an abstract idea of movement or direction or character, and only in the later stage the actual pitch comes. I mostly struggle with the formal aspect and how to create, let's say, a coherent narrative. In any case, it's a very painful process. It's never easy. You should still always hear the air coming. So, already don't...
I felt that we don't have so much in common. Maybe I would enrich him and he would enrich me too, because it needs to be mutual relation. It's true that
It's very good for your work that you are able to discuss it with someone else, to get out of your cocoon and to have someone else's eyes, especially if they're someone as talented as experienced as Kaya. The idea is that it really helps you to refine your expression.
I think the G flute is maybe better, because nobody should be too busy to give time to other people. I hope I can become for him a trusted friend. Vasco's situation is still that he's a rising star. I have no doubt that he has a very splendid career in front of him.
I sort of felt that I had a point where I had to think a little bit about where to go from there. This mentorship was a big step in my career. I'm not sure if at the end of the year my style will be different or if it will ever be different, but I certainly will incorporate this experience in my growth as a composer.
My mentoring year has been rich in events and in colorful meetings with Vasco. Being in this profession for such a long time already and working mostly on my own, it has been inspiring for me to follow Vasco's work and life and to get to know him, his mind and music. In the middle of many tragic events in the world, the meetings with Vasco have been also havens of peace and trust. I have felt happy and useful in transmitting my knowledge and introducing him to different friends and colleagues in my musical circles, and thus maybe helped to create new opportunities in his music. We live in a consumer society, and the music we compose isn't profitable when measured in monetary terms. Sometimes I feel we are among the vanishing species. And yet, the young generations are turning their back on the materialistic world. They feel the lack of spirituality. And we have all seen the dangers of this. This confirms my conviction that art is a necessary and integral part of our existence. In this time of threatening and restricted ideologies, we need the arts to open our minds to discover more about ourselves and to share our experiences with one another. I hope I have brought Vasco new views concerning our work and useful ways to deal with our professional lives, which are increasingly complicated. But more than anything, I wish for him that our time together has strengthened his ability to communicate through his music, a sincere and deeply personal expression. I thank Rebecca and her wonderful team for creating the opportunity for our encounter. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Vasco Mendonça.
What I've seen in this program and in everyone in it was a deep respect for the artists involved and a genuine interest in creating the conditions for me to develop as an artist. I believe this to be a rare and special combination, and I'm very grateful to Rolex for this opportunity. The program and the support it provides has allowed me to focus more intensely on what I find essential, my music. And most importantly, it has allowed me to get to know and spend time with Kaya. I am certain the time I've spent with Kaya will have a long resonance, the way she carefully and very kindly chooses what to say, what comments to make, turn each of these remarks into a sort of distant bell that keeps ringing in the background. A bell that now and then comes to the forefront to help with a tricky decision halfway through an even trickier deadline. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Kaya for her support, kindness, and for the wonderful time I had in our meetings all over the world. I sincerely hope we can stay in touch and develop what I now consider to be a friendship. Thank you.
I think certainty is for stupid people. Filmmakers communicate an idea. There's nothing wrong, there's nothing right or better. It's infinite possibilities to express the way you want to express it.
It's hard to teach cinema. It's not something that has rules. You know, you can say do like this, and then it happens. It's an art form.
Nobody can teach you rhythm. Rhythm is God. If you don't have rhythm, you are dead. I learn as I'm doing it. It's very intuitive. My theory is that you, in a way, have to know that you have something very unique to offer. You have to trust it. But at the same time, you have to question yourself if that's the best way to do it. Tom saw that kind of bipolar process.
I like that we were kind of
it's a fight. And that's what really art is about.
Action, Chris.
I had a lot of moments just by looking at him walk. He's like a choreographer, you know? And he wants to understand every aspect. He's a total filmmaker.
I decide since the moment that I accept this project that I will give up all my vanity or ego and shame of the things that I failed, because that's the nature of the artist process.
Alejandro was so generous to open this door for me and let me be there in all the moments, in the good moments, in the bad moments, in the way that he was racking his brain to find a solution. This is something that is priceless.
I was really interested in choose somebody who has already an experience. Not completely somebody who is new or naive, absolutely. So I think the stage in the development was for me very important. He just needs a little push, or maybe just a little bit more exposition to another experience that he hasn't had.
The mentorship worked somewhat like the old masters used to work. The basic part was that a mentor that believes in a protege brings him into his studio and let him see the secrets. And this is what Alejandro did.
It's a period film, but
it's like to be in a dream in a way, but also you learn a lot.
Western guitar. What I took from this year is humbleness. Humbleness to remind me of my own fragile, imperfect, and beautiful process of mine, and share with somebody, which is a little bit embarrassing, and to be in a way re-energized with the curiosity of somebody who sees things in the light of the infinite possibilities still in his eyes.
Thank you very much. As a filmmaker, I feel so privileged and honored to have been selected as a mentor. Como cineasta me siento muy agradecido, muy honrado de haber sido elegido como un mentor este año. Todos necesitamos un mentor. Yo tuve uno que, por cierto, hoy aquí, sin avisarme, está aquí, que se llama Ernesto Bolio, fue mi mentor, me enseñó a observar la vida. No sé dónde estás, Ernesto, pero aquí está uno de ellos que me enseñó muchas cosas. It's so important to have a mentor. I have one that secretly came today to this event. His name is Ernesto Bolio, and he's one of the guys who, you know, as Mira was saying, teach me to observe life. That's it, and that's as difficult and as simple as that. Como mexicano, me siento muy emocionado y agradecido de que la Fundación Rolex haya elegido la Ciudad de México para culminar esta celebración y que haya traído a estos grandes artistas mundiales cuya luz, estas luminarias cuya luz en estos tiempos tan oscuros que estamos viviendo van a poder iluminar, y espero que también de alguna forma inspiren otras iniciativas para hacer algo similar, que es lo que necesitamos en este país y en el mundo entero. As a Mexican, I feel extremely excited and thankful to the Rolex to have select Mexico City, my city, which is an incredible and vivid, incredible, the largest anthropological experiment of human beings alive, as you can see, vivid, rich, crazy, chaotic, but beautiful. Artistically, it's an amazing place to really create art. And the fact that the Mexicans, in a way, with the work, it's an honor to have these incredible artists in our city. And I think the light of these luminaries will help us to get through dark times that we are living, not only here but in the world. And probably they will inspire another initiatives of individuals and corporations to do something similar, because that's the only way that we will survive, I think. Thank you very much. So thank you for all. It's so incredible to have a share in this city with this great artist. And cuando Rolex me ofreció la oportunidad de ser mentor, mi primera reacción fue decir que no. Y la verdad es que no me he dedicado nunca a enseñar. Y dudo que pueda enseñar algo a alguien. Una cosa es hacer algo y otra cosa es enseñar algo. Especialmente porque no poseo una fórmula, un proceso claro de cómo hago las cosas. Sin embargo, una vez que acepté, elegí a Tom Schobel por su voz y por su trabajo. Tenía algo que decir muy importante. Al conocerlo personalmente, me di cuenta que estaba frente a un colega cuyo conocimiento, curiosidad y gran entusiasmo por el cine era radiante e inspirador. Lo único que pude ofrecerle a Tom fue invitarlo a observar mi proceso durante el rodaje de Revenant. Compartimos largos viajes en coche a las locaciones y rumbo a los bosques de Calgary y durante la preparación del rodaje. Duros días de trabajo filmando y resolviendo problemas, largas pláticas de cine y música y también mucho frío, vino y muchas carcajadas también. La presencia y energía de Tom en el set no solo fue placentera para mí, sino también para el crew entero. Sus preguntas y observaciones, así como su constante mirada de asombro, me ayudaron a vivir este rodaje nuevamente desde un joven y pulsante punto de vista de quien descubre nuevamente las cosas. Y no sé si lo que vivió Tom le haya servido o tendrá algún impacto en su proceso, porque sin pudor y vergüenza alguna de mi parte, lo invité muy de cerca, como nunca antes lo había hecho, a ser testigo de mi proceso de búsqueda. Le abrí las puertas y vio la ropa sucia. I showed him the dirty laundry horribly. He saw everything. And that was very shameful for me. El proceso de encontrar algo demanda en principio la necesidad de perderse primero. And I like to be lost, I have to say. I always like to be lost to find something. And, y Tom fue testigo de ese fascinante y a veces frustrante caos que es crear. Al menos quizá aprendió a cómo no hacer las cosas. Y si eso lo aprendió es suficiente. Por mi parte yo disfruté y aprendí muchísimo de él. Y es un placer presentarles a Tom Shaw. Tom.
This passing year, even a brilliant scriptwriter could not have written. The Rolex Arts Initiative has made the impossible possible for me and gave me the chance to live inside my dreams. The fact that this opportunity has been bestowed on me in such a crucial stage in my professional life as a filmmaker, between first and second feature, it's a gift that I don't think I can measure. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for this. And also I want to add now, when I'm seeing everybody's videos and something that was very theoretical in my head become actually kind of concrete, that I have brothers and sisters all over the world, and I thank you, my fellow prodigies, for being with me all over this year. But most of all, I want to thank my mentor, Alejandro González Iñárritu, that with generosity without boundaries opened the door for me that only rarely open and very few get in. And let me follow him in the most intimate moments in the process of directing a film. Alejandro, your films are inspiring. That is a fact that I already knew. But now I know how inspiring you are as a human being. I learned so much about cinema from you, on how to flood images with roaring emotion, how to get under the skin of your characters and make them flesh and bones, and how to have compassion alongside uncompromising reality in every frame. And maybe most of all, I learned from you that I can live my ideals as long as I stay true to myself. Thank you for this, thank you for showing me your dirty laundry, I love it, it's great. I will always treasure it, so thank you, and thank you for your friendship.
Señoras y señores, por favor denle la bienvenida a la ex-mentora y directora de teatro, ópera y cine, Julie Taymor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome former mentor and theater, opera and film director, Julie Taymor.
You have now heard from all the mentors and proteges of this year's Rolex Arts Initiative. I hope that you've been inspired by these stories of sharing and exchange between generations and disciplines. Another essential part of the mentor-protege experience is the enriching journey, taken not only between two individual hearts and minds, but between the respective countries and cultures. For Selena Cartmel, who is my protege from Ireland in 2006 and 2007, it was her country and mine, Ireland and America. On a side note, a personal journey. While creating the theater piece Juan Darien in Oaxaca, and the film Frida, and the musical El Rey León, right here in this city, Mexico has been and continues to be an inspirational mentor to me. Muchas gracias. It's now time to look to the future, and I have the great honor of announcing the new mentors for 2016 and 2017. The new architecture mentor is known for his design excellence and many international projects, such as the Museo Jumex here in Mexico City. He is Britain's Sir David Chipperfield. The literature mentor is one of Africa's foremost writers who uses the Portuguese language to craft evocative poetry, short stories, and novels that have been published in 20 countries. From Mozambique, he is Mia Couto. In theater, the new mentor is an equally talented theater, opera, and film director, and also a playwright and actor whose work has captivated audiences around the world. He is Canadian virtuoso Robert Lepage. The visual arts mentor is internationally acclaimed performance and video artist who has made a lasting mark over nearly 50 years. Her work drew huge crowds to the US Pavilion at the 2015 Venice Biennale. She is Joan Jonas. The new dance mentor is one of today's most visionary choreographers, who has pioneered inventive, intriguing styles of movement in contemporary dance. From Israel, he is Ohad Naharin. In music, the new mentor is a prolific creator of boundary-defying compositions that include symphonies, concertos, film soundtracks, and operas. Known for his evocative music, he is the influential American composer Philip Glass. Finally, the new film mentor is a director, screenwriter, producer, and editor, acclaimed for his masterly, highly original films. The first Mexican to win an Oscar for Best Director for the film Gravity is Alfonso Cuarón. To all the new mentors, welcome to the Rolex family. We wish you an enriching, inspired, mentoring year to come. Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, this brings us to the end of our presentation. Congratulations once more to all this year's mentors and protégés. Thank you all for being our guests this evening and joining our celebration. Good night.